Hello, Iron Fist. Who are you? You're Finn Jones. You've just been cast as Danny Rand, the immortal Iron Fist, a Marvel Comics character whose superpower it is to make his fist unto a thing like iron, meaning he can punch really hard and do kung fu. With Daredevil Season 2 having hit Netflix last weekend, or if you're watching this at a later date, an earlier weekend, Finn Jones has been cast, or not, he had already been cast. He'd been confirmed by Marvel as in playing a Danny Rand. If you don't know Danny Rand from the comics, aside from the little snippet I just started with, he's basically an orphan found by monks in an ancient Tibetan city or somewhere in Asia, because there's a lot of mountains in Asia, and Asia is a big old place, where he studies kung fu, or a form of kung fu, and learns martial arts and gains superpowers by killing a dragon by punching it in the fucking heart. Danny Rand then turns out to find out that he's actually the heir to a company in New York, making Danny Rand's story the case of not being at home in his birth home as well as his adopted home. Danny Rand is also very white, and this casting has given Marvel a bit of grief. If you've been on the internet the last couple of months, you know there's a big old war going on. Not really a war. There's people being afraid we're getting too politically correct. There's people afraid that we aren't doing enough to be politically correct. There's all kinds of factions, and they're always butting heads. And I usually find myself somewhere in the middle. In this case, Danny Rand has been cast true to comics. Yes. But I feel that Marvel probably could have gone a different route, or a better route. Like I said, Danny Rand's essence, as he started out in comics, was that he didn't really fit in either world, in either Kunlun or in New York. So I think him being cast with an Asian actor and playing up a mixed heritage, like imagine Jake Long from American Dragon, would have been beneficial to, you know, not just the story itself, but like the meta around it. Plus, there's been a shit ton of people in Marvel Universe, the live action one, have just been white bread white guys. No, as a white bread white guy, I can't complain with seeing characters I really love as books come to life as I know them. But Danny Rand was conceived in a time when kung fu movies were the big thing, as well as blaxploitation, which is how we incidentally got Luke Cage. And for some reason they decided to team those up, but I digress. I feel that Danny Rand's character originally feels a bit like Mighty Whitey comes along, shows the natives how it's done. There's a lot of these stories where the white person comes into a non-native surroundings, Tom Cruise, Last Samurai, and he becomes better than the people that he's been part of. I like to think Dances with Wolves was something similar as well. I'm not quite sure if that was the case. It's been years since I saw that. But with Danny Rand being a Netflix, Iron Fist being a Netflix series, Marvel could have at least taken a step. It's one thing to take an iconic character that is so big that everybody knew him beforehand, like the mighty Thor had been around for quite a while, the Incredible Hulk. If you drastically change, I'm not saying they shouldn't, I'm just saying if you do that, if you drastically change a character like that, then people are going to kick off and piss and moan. But a B-list character, or I wouldn't even really call him a B-list, maybe even a C-list. Because you got your A-lists, like your Spider-Mans. And then you got your B-lists, like the people who barely qualify for a movie, then somehow manage to get one anyway, Guardians of the Galaxy, hello. Then you got your C-lists who get your little Netflix series. They could have at least, I don't want to say tried, but it would have been progressive in a way. Mind you, Marvel's been seemingly fumbling this ball for a while now, because as I was looking up Doctor Strange, they cast 2 characters in that as well. Well, they cast several characters, because you know you can't have a movie with just 2 characters, otherwise you get something very boring with Matt Damon and Casey Affleck, and nobody wants to look that. So, problem is, with Doctor Strange, the Ancient One has been cast as Tilda Swinton, or Tilda Swinton has been cast as the Ancient One. If you don't know, the Ancient One, he's basically a very cliched, stereotypical ancient monk who knows everything, and again, Mighty Whitey comes along, shows the natives how it's done. He teaches Doctor Strange everything he needs to know, and his evil disciple Baron Mordo betrays his master, the Ancient One. So Tilda Swinton, being a very, 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 very white woman and a talented actress, being cast as the Ancient One, I actually think that might have been a better idea than to go with what I feel is a very problematic stereotype. It's like you can have Asian characters and not have them be wisdom spouting, I know everything and I will teach you everything. And I know this sounds a little bit contradictory to what I said before, because I'm implying that casting an Asian character as a Kung Fu master is better than casting a white dude. Things don't always have to make sense to make sense. Fun fact is that when Doctor Strange first started, he was actually intended to be Asian as well. I'm not quite sure how's that going to show up on camera. As you can see, the eyes closed, well, not closed, very slanted, very minuscule. If you look at the Ancient One in the panel on the opposite page, you see as well, he's got the same eyes. And again with Baron Mordo, let me see if I had a good one on this page, I thought. You got Baron Mordo, again, same eyes. And out of the 3, the first one they started drawing with open eyes, almost as if he resembles Robert Delgado, is born Baron Mordo. So it feels like Doctor Strange was Asian from the get-go. Then later, obviously, he becomes to resemble Vincent Price a lot more. And with that, like I said, Baron Mordo, and I have to double check, Chiwetel Ejiofor, if I'm not fucking up that pronunciation, and I didn't have to look that up just because it is a difficult name. I had to look that up because I'm shit with names anyway. The only reason why I know Tilda Swinton is because I am a die-hard fan of the Lord of the Rings things. So I barely couldn't get her out of my head. And I even had to look her up yesterday to make sure it was Tilda Swinton. But so Chiwetel has been cast as Baron Mordo, and this is a bigger issue for me than casting Tilda Swinton as the Ancient One, because, well, it makes the black guy the bad guy, and it just gives me a very skewed idea of what Doctor Strange is or should be. I'm all for casting actors in whatever role that suits them best, and all casting characters, because that's what I'm trying to say. You should have. Maybe Finn Jones was the best choice. I don't know. I wasn't there. I'm not a casting director. I am not employed by Marvel. But maybe they should have gone with someone else. And then there's people on the internet. They say, well, why would you change Iron Fist to Asian if you've already got Shang-Chi? If you don't know Shang-Chi, Shang-Chi is basically the son of Fu Manchu. If you don't know Fu Manchu is basically the Yellow Peril supervillain from the 60s, 70s. Dominated a lot of books. Or, if you'd rather, Nicolas Cage in that little Grindhouse trailer. Think Lo Pan, but less magic. Lo Pan from Big Trouble in Little China. So, Shang-Chi and Iron Fist are two wholly different beasts. Whereas Iron Fist has the entire, like I said, two worlds. Shang-Chi knows very well what he is. Shang-Chi is a typical story of a defector of his evil father. Think maybe Star Wars, but knowing what his dad did. So, having one would not diminish the need for the other. You could have both in one show and they'd still be very different characters. Even if you have both of them be Asian Americans, or in Shang-Chi's case, just an Asian. I thought I had a more concrete issue this week. And I'm not even quite sure why I'm recording this. I'm not even recording this for the first time. I'm doing like a third take. These things don't get easier, do they? On one hand, you want to do right by the characters that you've grown up to love, or for a lot of people, still growing up with, or haven't grown up with and love, because some people need to get out of their basements, like me. But on the other hand, it really doesn't hurt to change what was there. Because in the long run, I was going to go for the South Park conclusion there, but I have no finish line. Let me know what you think. Just bug me, bother me, drop me a line. Because, like I said, not easy.
Shutdown initiated.